Hello, Night Owls. We're so excited to be here tonight. As you have probably heard, we have the lovely Darby Karchut here tonight. And we tormented her last week, so we brought her this week to show her official professional side because it's just as delightful as her wacky side. One of the reasons we love Darby is she has published, this is her third book with Owl Hollow came out this week, On a Good Horse, and this beauty. And if I could have Darby running in, like busting through a big sign, high-fiving everyone, I would, because I think she's the best. She's so fun and professional and kind. And if there were one author I've met that really goes out of their way, that there are a lot of them, but Darby goes out of her way to support every single book and every author, and just is so giving and loving and wonderful. And I could gush about her all night, but we're excited that this book came out last week, but tonight we're here to talk about Toro Moon, another horse book. Darby's first, this is your first middle grade, right?
No, my Finn Finnegan series was my first middle grade.
Okay. So not her first, but her best middle grade series that I will read what Todd Mitchell, a great author, said about it. He calls it a rip-roaring monster slang adventure with heart and humor, cleverly situated in the contemporary mountains and canyons of southern Colorado. This fresh and fun exploration of tough familial relationships, modern knights, and talking horses is sure to appeal to equine enthusiasts. I'm sorry, try to say that. Equine enthusiasts. So we're gonna have a lot of fun tonight. Darby has a lot of brilliant things to say about everything, and also stick around, and Carrie is in the comments, so if you have questions throughout, feel free to put them in there, ask questions. And we have a drawing at the end. Here's my little cup O names, and so these are people who have taken part in our book club discussion throughout the day today. You can still see those questions posted on Facebook. We'd love to have you interact. And also Carrie, as she keeps track of comments, she's going to throw names of people who ask questions and interact tonight. So we're gonna have a drawing, and here's what they are. We're excited about these because these could be fun early Christmas presents for horse lovers. So we've got, for the On a Good Horse pack, we've got a hard copy of the book and these little surprise mystery horses, which I don't know about you guys, but my kids love these like blind bags where they don't know what they're getting. And then a cute little horse paint set, and it has a string. You could even hang it on your Christmas tree. And then
I want those.
The other one is a copy of Toro Moon, Colorado Book Award winner, and this fun paintable horse figure set, and horses and ponies sticker book and coloring book. So you want to win those, so stick around and participate in the questions, and we would love to hear from you. And any questions you have for Darby, any comments, we're excited to hear from you. So let's get started. Darby, we would love to hear a little bit about you and where you are right now and how you're surviving 2020, all of that good stuff.
All right. Well, Emma, it's so good to be back with you again. You know that I cannot get through a meeting talking to you and Carrie without, well, laughing so hard that snot comes out my nose. So we're hoping that will not happen tonight. Carrie, good to see you in the comments. It's fun to be back with you guys. So where I am right now, I am in Colorado Springs, which is, if you think of Colorado as a rectangle state, one of the two rectangle states. Denver is dead center, and Colorado Springs is about 1 hour or 60 miles south of that. And we're at the foot of the famous Pikes Peak Mountain. Today, I am happy to actually be in my home because we've been under a pre-evacuation order all day for a big fire that broke out just north of us in a big open area called Bear Creek Park. But the Fort Carson and a bunch of other surrounding areas threw every bit of manpower at it they could. Big Chinook helicopters. Anyway, got the fire put out, and we're safe and sound, and I'm very, very happy. So that's where I am right now. And then Emma, you asked about the COVID pandemic and how's that going, or?
Yeah, like, are you surviving okay? Has it changed your writing life at all?
Well, I think we're all kind of going through a little bit of a grieving process because our lives, the whole world have turned upside down. So there is always kind of that little bit of sadness in me. But I've also decided that time is going to pass anyway. So I'm going to continue to do my writing. My husband and I are working on a massive home project. We're trying to put in a new balcony, which involves a new roof and new Trek decking. And it's gone on for 3 months. And we were out there all day today working on it some more. So we decided to just soldier on as if nothing happened and get everything done that we can so that when the pandemic, ends, and hooray for the good news this week from two pharmaceutical companies who said they've got a vaccine right around the corner. So there is light at the end of the tunnel. So that said, is we're just soldiering on until we can get through the other side of this. Our goal, my husband and I's goal, get through it healthy, and hopefully our families and friends get through it healthy.
That is an excellent goal. I like
Yeah.
I wanted to start with a little bit of background with you as a writer.
Not me.
Oh, Kelly. Oh, I forgot. Carrie just texted. Kelly wants to know if she was right about the 2 truths and a lie. So we'll end there, Kelly.
I'm not going to tell you, Kelly.
Also, I asked Darby who her friend Kay Hager is on Twitter, because is that right, Kay Hager? Because I said she always cracks me up. She's so funny. And she said, that's Kelly. And so I don't know if that's you. She said, I also have a sister, Kelly, who might be here tonight. So hello, both Kellys, and Kelly Hager, you always crack me up. Anyway, where were we? I am so sorry. Oh, she wants to know the 2 truths and a lie, and we will end there. So, and Darby always tells the stories best. So she's going to tell those, and then we'll update the blog. But can you tell us a little bit about yourself as a writer and your journey and how you got to the point where you have, which book this is for you, how many you've published up to this point, and just all of that good background stuff?
Always a good question. And I love it. I love always hearing from other authors where they got. And I started my writing journey about 11 years ago. I turned 50 and thought I can run a Pikes Peak Marathon, or I could try writing a book. And I thought, well, what's the hardest? Well, writing a book. So I went with that. And I was so clueless about the writing process. Now, I'm a big reader. I mean, I just devour books, but I had never, ever thought about writing my own book until 11 years ago. And I was so clueless about the writing process that I thought real writers, professional writers, didn't revise. They just wrote the first draft and it was perfect. And that revising was cheating somehow. Wow, did I learn that the magic is in the revision, not the first draft. And I hate writing the first draft. I always just want to put a pencil into my right eyeball when I'm writing the first draft. It's so hard, but the revision is the magic process. And so I jumped into writing, didn't know what I was doing, wrote a really bad first novel, and then I rewrote it about 30 times. And boy, nothing teaches you how to write a book than writing a book. Submitted it with a very badly written query letter, learned how to write a query letter. It took me 102 submissions to get my first book picked up by a small press. And then after that, it got a little better and I learned more, and the industry, it's a learning curve, and it's a slow learning curve. And that's something so many new writers don't realize, is that this industry moves so slowly because it can only move at the speed that a human being can read a book. Because your agent has to read a book, the publisher has to read a book. It's not like music or art where you can instantly say, oh, good or bad. That's why the industry moves so slow. So anyway, I learned a lot about it. And finally, one day I got to be with the most magical publishing company in the whole world, with Toro Moon. And Emma and I have had so much fun these last, has it been 3 years we started working together? I don't know. It's just been a ball. So I never thought I'd be an author. So this has just been a fun new life for me. And I was writing while I was still teaching junior high. full time. So that was, we can talk more about that later because that was some crazy times too.
That's amazing. I love that you just keep putting out good work, and you're always so positive about the publishing industry, and just wonderful to work with. So I'm curious, what is it about horse books specifically that you're excited about, and what do you hope readers get out of those? Because this is your third horse book, and then you have others that have integrated horses in other ways.
I grew up on horseback basically from a young teen onward. And my mom loved horses too. And so horses were always kind of part of my life. And horse books is where I first became a reader. Little Black a Pony was the first book I ever read all by myself I think it was first grade. Anyway, so horses, I've always loved horses. There is something so incredibly compelling about such a large, powerful animal with huge heart and huge lungs and big muscles and the largest eyes in relative to their body mass of any land creature, and yet incredibly sensitive, incredibly tuned into their rider, that can form that partnership between human and animal. And I think there's always a part of our hearts, if we're really honest, that always look for that greater being who is bigger and stronger and can protect us in this world. Even as adults, I think we still yearn for that greater being who, like I said, can protect us, be our friend, walk beside us in life. So I thought, why not write some horse books? Because I loved them growing up, having an absolute ball with them.
I love that. Great answer. I love that. So you've written for adults and teens, and your last few, the focus has been more middle grade, and you've done several middle grade. Do you have a favorite age group to write for, and what's the most fun for you as an author?
Hands down, it's middle grade. On a Good Horse is my 15th book, my 13th novel, because I've written 2 nonfictions about finance with my husband. We won't go there because, but middle grade for sure, I absolutely love. And a lot of people out there who know me know that I used to teach 7th grade social studies. In fact, for 14 years, I was a 7th grade social study teacher at our local junior high. I love that age group. I love 7th grade boys. And I know that sounds weird, but there is something about middle school boys that just tug at my heart. They're working their way out of a feral zone into a more civilized zone, but they are so real and they're so honest. And I always love talking with them. The girls were lovely, but the boys, just like I said, tugged at my heart. My last year of teaching, I had one class of 29 kids, which is kind of a normal size for social studies, and I could handle that. In that one class, I only had 4 girls and the rest were all boys. So imagine 25 7th grade boys, I had them right after lunch, would come, they don't walk in, they kind of fling themselves into the doorway. And it was Lord of the Flies in my room. And so I had the custodian hang a chin-up bar across the door frame of my classroom door. And when the boys came in, I make them stop and do 10 pull-ups just to work some of that energy out of them. And it was how we got through each day, and they were wonderful. It was just 25 7th grade boys and 4 girls who I pulled to one side at one point and said, girls, you can just sit with each other all year and just hang in there, okay? And they were great. They were great about it. So anyway, so that's why middle grade.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. And kind of going back to horses, I feel like middle grade is the perfect place for horses, especially when you're talking about the big protective personalities and all the changes middle graders are going through. So what is it? One thing I love about Del Toro Moon and On a Good Horse is you give the horses a voice, which I feel like is a very bold choice because we've all seen talking animals that just don't work. And but you somehow do this amazing job of giving them personalities and having them be characters. They don't feel like a weird talking horse. They're funny and interesting and lovable. So can you tell us a little bit about how you do that and what you, if you have any tips for creating great characters with personality and that are distinct from each other?
Good question. Well, when I first came up with the idea of Del Toro Moon, I knew I wanted to have talking horses. And as soon as I say the words talking horses, everybody goes, oh, like Disney? Or like My Little Pony? And, I cringe. And I thought, okay, talking horses can become very, well, as I said, Disney. So one thing I love to do is I love to write to classic archetypes. And these are the classic archetypes that all cultures across all time have embedded in their storytelling. So you have classic archetypal characters such as the warrior, the trickster, the rebel, the patriarch, the mother maiden crone. All these are archetypes. And so for each of my horse characters, I chose one really strong archetype and then layered it with 2 or 3 others so that each horse has as much personality and history and depth as the human characters do. For example, El Cid, who is one of the main characters in Del Toro Moon, is kind of the wise elder. He's a gray Andalusian war stallion. So he's wise. He's like a patriarch, if you want to use that archetype. But he is also the warrior. But to make him not so perfect, I also made him kind of stuffy and pedantic and kind of a know-it-all. Turk, who is the formidable, battle-savvy black stallion, I gave him a very caustic personality because he's clearly insecure because he's on the outside of this close-knit family. So the 2 boys, the two sons in this family call him Turk the Jerk because he is. And so those are fun. You get those archetypal characters and you can put them, whether it's a talking pig, a talking dragon, a talking horse, or a human. If you're writing to true archetypes and then layer them deeply, you're going to have really great characters.
That's a really great idea. Really, I haven't ever heard of that. Would you call Turk the trickster character? Is that a little bit of that layered in?
Very good. He is the trickster, and he's trickster, but he's also the warrior. And Isabel, who is kind of the new young fiery mayor, who's also a warhorse who comes to join them. She is quite the feminist, and anytime anyone doubts her ability to fight, her first instinct is, well, it's because I'm a girl. And they're always like, no, it's not because you're a girl. It's because you're new at this. And so, I loved Isabel. She has some of the best lines, although Turk was the most fun to write.
Turk was, they were all really fun and really distinct. Like, you fell in love with El Cid, but Turk was the one that made me laugh the whole time. And I liked the fiery passions of Isabel. So it was all really fun.
Yeah, Turk got all the best lines.
I watched a panel this week of authors who talked about it's so easy to make the villains the most fun because you can say anything. And not that he's a villain, but he's just kind of the naughty horse, and that's a lot of fun. So I'm interested, because Del Toro Moon has such distinct characters and they're so interesting. Have your characters kind of evolved over time? Do you do things different now than you used to? Are you trying to pull different things from your stories now than you used to?
Someone asked me a similar question to that the other day, and I thought, should I be doing that? Am I not growing as an author? But, I'll be honest. My goal when I started writing was first to write for boys, because boys who read grow up to become men who think and feel. And I wanted to give boys books that showed positive male role models. And this is kind of a pet peeve of mine. Too many times in children's lit, authors are told, first kill off all the adults, don't have any parents in the books. And it was my students who came to me over and over and said, how come all these books for kids, the adults, especially the dads, are always evil or stupid or inept? And my dad's not like that. And I'm thinking we are doing a disservice to kids to always be presenting adults as incapable, instead of showing them both that mirror and window that they can be when they grow up, that they can be capable adults. Doesn't mean the kid can't shine and be the center on, center stage, But it's always been my goal is, why shouldn't we celebrate great parents? And especially, why shouldn't we celebrate great dads? It's really important that not only boys, but girls have really strong father figures. And literature is one place to show that. So I think that'll always probably be a theme of mine. It's something I enjoy writing about. I enjoy reading stories with that. So I've tried to write a book with a female main character. And boy, that's been a real struggle. In fact, I put it on the back burner for now because I couldn't quite get there, but I'll keep working on it.
Get there. A couple of comments. Kelly has a lot to say. Kelly says, I'm her new best friend. Yay, Kelly. I'm very excited about this development. And Kelly also says, Darby, did you know that Dolly Parton is partially funding one of the 2 COVID vaccines? I think that's really interesting.
I love Dolly Parton and what she did with her book project. Oh,
you'll have to tell us about that at the end if there's time. I would love to hear about it. And Kelly says, Darby, please consider moving to Baltimore. There's great food and nature, which I know you like for some reason, and there isn't a ton of fire danger.
No, I love Colorado.
Stay safe. Anyway, you just have options. Kelly has welcomed you to Baltimore.
Okay.
Okay, so shifting gears a little bit, just slightly from your stories to you, can you tell us a little bit about your writing process?
There's a process? What? Why didn't anyone tell me? Wait, what? You mean I'm supposed to have, my process is basically, I'm starting a new book. What the heck? I have no idea what I'm doing. Writing is hard. Where can't I just go watch Game of Thrones reruns? So my writing process is basically, though, I write the ending first. Hopefully that beautiful final single sentence, because I don't know why I like to write the final sentence first, or the final scene. Then I write the opening scene, and then I just try to fill in the middle. I've tried so hard to plot my books, and I do write a 2 or 3 page summary of the whole story from start to finish, just so that I know where I'm going. Sometimes I remember to refer back to it, and most times I just go. So I just blunder along with that first draft, knowing again that I'm going to revise it so many times. I'm much better once I have just something, even if it's just 20,000 words, pretty bare, then I can start adding layers. So yeah, I really don't have a process.
That sounds like a good process. I mean, at least you know that revision is where the magic happens and you have your way to get there. Does it change at all with each book, or is that pretty standard for all of them?
It seems like every book I've written, I come out of it going, what the hell did I just do? Excuse my French. So I wish I could say it's kind of like it, but no.
No.
Well, everyone's an adventure.
Well, you do a good job. Every time Olivia, our editor, gets one of Darby's books, she's so excited. She said they're always just so beautiful and easy.
Oh, I love Olivia.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
Speaking of amazing, one thing that always amazes me about you is you're so active. You're a mountain biker and you're into, what is it called? The compass? Is it
orienteering?
Orienteering. Okay. Orienteering and running and hiking and all of these cool physical things. I am curious how that enhances your creativity or how that influences your writing at all.
Well, I was a tomboy. I grew up, I was always outside. I mean, I love to play outside, and things like mountain biking and running and skiing and orienteering are just basically excuses as an adult to go outside and play, right? I mean, I could go to the gym and work out, but I want to be outside playing. There's a movement called Wild Child where they're trying to remind people that kids need to be outside playing because that's where problem solving skills are really enhanced with little kids. They learn, to use their whole body just to figure things out. Anyway, being outside is just so good for kids. It is also so good for adults. So I use that playtime to not think about my book, to give myself a break from it. Usually though, I'll have some problem, a plot problem usually. And I put it in as Stephen King calls it. I give it to the boys in the basement. I go do my thing. And then I come back, I'm like, oh, I could have them just fall off a cliff. Okay, good. That's good. Just always my go-to thing when I don't know what to do, they fall off a cliff.
That's a solid tool. I can't argue with the cliff.
No.
That's awesome. Olivia says, I love how far you've come as a writer because you were open to learning. And I think that's part of what you love about revision is just learning and making the story the best it can be. You're very good at it. I feel like you and Olivia are a great little partnership that way.
Oh, she literally can take my voice and rewrite sentences in my voice. And I'm like, okay, I'll just use yours. In fact, I'm hoping one day she will just write the book for me. So Olivia, if you could just write the next book for me and then send it over and I'll let you know how it sounds.
Yeah, see, you have the summary and she's magic, so I'm sure we could work it out. And then Kelly Austin says, Darby's horses.
Kelly, hi Kelly, I miss you so much. She's rolling her eyes, I know. And my brother-in-law Chuck is probably there too.
Oh, hello. It's so fun having you guys on. Sister Kelly says, Darby's horses illustrate the warmth of human hearts. I think that's an excellent way to say that. Well said.
I gave her those words. No, no, I didn't.
Just better lines before we started.
Oh.
Mariah says, I love that so much. I hate that society makes men look stupid.
Thank you. Thank you, Mariah. Yes.
I think it's a really good point. I was thinking about it this week. I don't know if you've ever watched the cartoon Gumball, or everybody has watched The Simpsons at some level, but just Homer and the dads are always just kind of stupid and sloppy and lazy. And anyway, so I agree. I think your father characters that are strong and compassionate and smart and wonderful are so refreshing.
Thank you.
Olivia says, it's so hard for authors to get adults right now in middle grade books, and Darby does an amazing job.
Oh, thanks.
I think I read that wrong, but you get what I'm saying. Candace says, V.E. Schwab said the same thing about writing the end, then the beginning. I think the universe is trying to tell me something.
Hi, Candace.
So Darby and V.E. Schwab have it right.
Yeah.
Olivia says, oh, how interesting that you write the end first. Would you ever do... do you ever read the end of a book first?
No, because that would be, yes, sometimes I do.
I always do. I'll be honest. I want to know how things end.
Yeah. Sometimes I do. That's okay.
You guys are giving awesome comments and questions. Thank you.
Oh.
So Darby, if you had to give your best writing advice for aspiring writers, what would it be?
Oh my gosh. I get asked that quite a bit, and I actually wrote that down, and I'm going to be honest. And this probably goes against the grain of what a lot of other authors do. And remember, everybody's journey is different. I mean, art is what you do with it. But I think at some point, every writer needs to be able to both self-correct and self-edit and self-critique. I think beta readers are important and critique partners are important, but I think at some point you need to be able to do it on your own, because art is not created by committee. Art is created by artists, and that includes music or sculpture or painting. At some point, you've got to be good enough at your craft and your art to recognize when it's good or bad, and I think that's where you will start to grow. Now, that said, I missed terribly. I had a beta reader who was so good at reading my books early on and really being able to focus on my strengths and weaknesses. And it was my mom. And when she passed away, I kind of lost that. Hey, Mom, let me send you this, see what you think. And so I still kind of miss that, but I've grown from having to strike out on my own. That said, she would have gone, and I think Kelly and Chuck would agree with me. Mom would have loved these horse books. She would have gone nuts over them because she was a big horse gal. So,
Well, I'm sure she's reading them wherever she is. That's awesome. Kelly Austin says, we are waving.
Oh,
Olivia says, I could never write your books because they have so much of you in them. That's why they're so beautiful. They're like your soul shining through. Oh, you guys have so many good quotes today.
I'm like, are you recording this? Because I want to go back and get those.
Well, we'll have to put those on your next cover because those are such big compliments. And I feel like anyone who knows you or has read your book can sense how much compassion and empathy and you're just a beautiful person, and we're lucky to have you, and we're lucky to have your books.
Well, thank you.
I would love to know, there are so many aspects of Del Toro Moon that is just, I mean, there's these wolf-like monsters that are called skinners that are terrifying in a super fun way. There's the medieval curse element, there's the Hispanic culture element, there's horses, and a lot of people could throw everything in and except for the kitchen sink and it doesn't work. But this book has so many cool elements that tie together so beautifully, and it's just fun and amazing and action-packed and hilarious. I was reading this for the first time in an airport, and I was laughing and crying, and people were looking at me like I was crazy. And like, I can't help it. So just so many great elements to this book. So with all of that said, what are you most excited for readers to discover who haven't read it before?
Well, one of the things, I think the thing I'm most excited for people to get from this is how freaking fun mashups are. And this is a Western fantasy mashup with a lot of other stuff thrown in. But it was so fun to take some Western elements, some Southwest Hispanic culture that I grew up with down in New Mexico, with medieval stuff coming in. And just throw it all together, and that's where the fun lies. This book isn't out to change the world or have social commentary. It's just for fun. It's just to make you feel good, to make you laugh, to make you cry. Of all the books I've written, this one is the one that's closest to what I thought I could write. Every author has that image of what they want to write. Often they don't quite get there. They're always like, oh, I could have been a little better, or the next one could be a little better. This is the one that got closest to it. And it'll probably be the book I'll always be most proud of.
Wow.
I say that. And The Red Casket, the sequel, I just got done rereading to work on my third book. And I went, oh, this is pretty good too. This is kind of fun. So
it is. Kind of going along with that, I'm just going to cheat and read a quote really fast. This is from a reviewer that I don't remember how she found Del Toro Moon, but she's kind of become a fan of Darby's books. But she said, "Thank you for the amazing fantasy book with Latino characters. I hope more authors follow in your footsteps and leave political stereotypes aside and realize Latino kids want to see themselves as Harry Potter or Percy Jackson and not just hear an immigrant story." And so that's one thing I think you've done so beautifully is there's these underlying themes and important values, but it's fun, and it's a place where kids who don't see themselves in fantasy very often can see themselves. And I think that's true for Latino culture. I think that's true for boys. I think there's not enough really strong boy fiction. I think we've talked about that with fathers. So you've done such a good job of it's not an issue book, but there's important issues dealt with in a very fun and readable way.
Well, that was one of my goals. In a way, it was one of my goals. Is I've been a big supporter and big part of We Need Diverse Books when it first started years ago. And when I took this manuscript to a fellow teacher of mine, Tim Valdez, who was actually the Spanish teacher at the school, and I said, Tim, read this. And he actually grew up in the San Luis Valley, right where this was set. And he's Hispanic, and he read through it and he said, thank you for pushing diversity within diversity. That, the Hispanic culture and Latino culture and any culture are not just monolithic, one side fits all, that there are diversities throughout all the different cultures, no matter what culture you're talking about. And there's that big push is who has a right to write certain stories and who doesn't. And for a while I was, you and I talked quite a bit about that. And I just decided as an author and as an artist, I just have to create my art and, let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah, I think you've done an amazing job. One thing I like to do, if there's any final questions, now's the time to shoot them off. I like to call this the shotgun round, where we just kind of get to know what's happening in the brilliant mind of Darby a little bit, really quickly. So can you tell us your current, I get that we don't, oh, yes, please introduce Aragorn.
Okay, so before we begin, my family knows, in fact, my family is also, we're all massive Lord of the Rings fans. And I mean, massive. I've read the trilogy probably over 100 times from cover to cover since I was 11 years old. I just love them. And so I got, from the movie, I got an Aragorn action figure. And when you squeeze the legs, his sword arm moves up and down. And so sometimes when Emma and I are Skyping, I'll have like Aragorn come in, and so yeah. Anyway, so I had to show my little toy.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is why you're good at writing for middle graders. You still like your toys and.
You don't think that wasn't in my classroom?
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so can you tell us your current favorite author?
Oh, when people say favorite, that means for me that it's a book that I have to reread multiple times. I am a huge rereader of really good books. That's how I learned to write, is by rereading. Right now, currently, one author that I go to because I think his prose is pure poetry, and that's Ivan Doig. He writes a Montana series based in the early 1900s, and absolutely breathtaking prose and great storytelling. But I also love Craig Johnson's Longmire series and Naomi Novak's Tamarar series, which she took the Napoleonic War and added dragons as an air force. And I went, it was brilliant, brilliant world building.
Awesome. Okay. Your current favorite book?
Current favorite? Can we just say Lord of the Rings?
Yeah.
Okay,
Absolutely.
Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Good choice.
Right.
Music.
Theme from Lord of the Rings.
Okay, television show.
Oh, Game of Thrones. Gotta admit, I haven't been watching much TV during COVID. Because my attention span is pretty short right now. So I do like Game of Thrones though, because I am House Stark. Bring on winter.
Bring on the winter.
Yeah.
I wondered if it would be Game of Thrones or Supernatural. But
oh, I do love In fact, I had my Supernatural tape somewhere around there. Supernatural was one of the inspirations for Del Toro Moon.
Oh.
When I pitched it to Hannah Smith, your acquisition editor, I said it was My Friend Flicka meets Supernatural.
I'd forgotten that. That's right. I know Hannah loves some Supernatural. Yeah. So it's probably what caught her attention.
Yeah.
Movie. All-time favorite or current favorite?
Lord of the Rings.
You are so good. This is what we love about Darby. She posted her wine with the horse on it. She just stays on brand. She knows what she likes and she sticks with it.
If I was any more on brand, I'd be cattle.
Yes, you would. You're funny. Snack.
I'm not a big snacker because I always have to be watching my weight. But coffee, probably 9 cups a day.
Wow.
I need to cut down. It's my drug of choice.
Why you have so much energy. I was hoping you would say like grain or apples, so you are even more brand.
Alfalfa. It's alfalfa.
There you go. Okay, any last questions for Darby before we do our fun drawing?
They've asked great questions and made great.
I know, this is a fun crowd. I feel
love you guys.
Oh, Olivia says I'm reading the Temeraire. How do you say it?
Temeraire.
Temeraire series right now. All of Novik's stuff is. Oh, Hannah says the last episode of Supernatural airs tonight. So
I'll go tape it.
Dean and Sam are coming to an end.
Oh, just makes me sad. I love those boys, but I love the dad. He was so broken.
Yeah, they do a good job with that whole series.
Yeah.
Okay. I have thrown in the people from tonight, so I'm mixing up the names, and I'm going to draw. And I have either or. So Carrie will DM you afterward, and you can choose the Del Toro Moon prize pack or the On a Good Horse prize pack. And hopefully it will be a fun holiday gift for somebody or for yourself. I know, Olivia, you need to de-stress. Maybe painting horses. I just gave it away because I pulled her name out and looked at it, and then I started talking to Olivia. Anyway, so sorry. Olivia, you won one of them. Congratulations. Oh. Okay, before I do the last one, Carrie, this is why Carrie's on. She's my brain. She said, remember, Darby has to tell us the truth and a lie.
Okay, so Emma had me send 2 truths and a lie, and it's a fun game. So the 3 things I sent in is that 1, I spent a night in a South American police compound. The second one was at the age of 40, I did a tandem parachute jump. And the last one was my horse, Bo, was a reserve horse for an Olympic team. And the one that was the lie, do I deal the lie first? Okay.
Sure.
Okay. The lie was the parachute jump. It was my husband who at the age of 40 did a tandem parachute jump. But the other 2s, yes, my husband and I years ago were on a trip to Machu Picchu, and we were going on a different route than just the traditional Inca trail. And this route went through some more rural part of Peru. And at the time, they had just got done cleaning out a terrorist group called the Shining Path. And we were one of the first groups of Americans/Canadians through this pretty rural region. And one night, our guide had been hearing too many rumors about a pocket of the terrorists still being pretty active. So he stopped at a nearby police compound and negotiated for us little group of tourists to actually pitch our tents inside the police compound, unpack our pack mules, and, spent the night looking out at the stars through the, concertina wire. So we did actually do that, and that was kind of fun. But we got a lot of cold beer, so that was good.
Olivia says it's hilarious that the most normal one was the lie. Oh. Do you want to tell the other 2 stories really quickly? The ones that
so in 1980, the U.S. Equestrian Olympic team approached my Aunt Virginia, who owned Bo, on paper, she was the owner. And because Bo could do everything, he could do dressage, hunter, 3-day eventing, Western pleasure, he was phenomenal. And they needed a reserve horse that could do everything. And so they approached her and said, would we be willing to lend Bo to go to the 1980 games as their reserve horse? And that was the year the US boycotted because the games were in Moscow. Glad, because I don't think I wanted Bo on a plane flying to Moscow anyway. So that one. And the tandem parachute jump, like I said, it wasn't me. It was my husband, Wes. I don't mind heights, but yeah, no.
Those are great answers. Okay, let's pick our last one. Oh, Hannah says, Hannah says the Supernatural reference hooked me. #Team Dean. And Kelly Hager asks, popcorn while watching Lord of the Rings?
Oh, always. Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
Popcorn and wine.
Popcorn and wine. Thank you.
Okay. Our second winner is my new best friend, Kelly H.
Kelly, you won.
Okay. Carrie will DM you guys and ask you about which one you want. But guys, Del Toro Moon is 99 cents right now. If you haven't read it, you should read it. It's magical and it's a fun gift for Christmas. It's horses and magic and everything kids love, and a little bit of spookiness because that keeps them turning the pages too. Darby, you are always so lovely and charming and wonderful to talk to, and I am so grateful that we get to work with you. Thank you for being here tonight. Any final words for your listeners?
No, just to say what I always say to everybody. Best thing that ever happened to me in my writing career is hooking up with Al Hollow Press and with Emma Nelson. And she always rolls her eyes and does this, but really I have had the most fun. And I look forward to many books together in the future. And I do want to thank everyone for showing up. I know right now in the middle of this pandemic, we're all sick of everything being virtual. It's been tough. You know, in normal crisis throughout history, people band together and they lock elbows with neighbors and they march together to, you know, overcome whatever foe it is. And this one, we're all isolated. And I think that's been really hard on people. But we had the magic of technology to kind of let us soldier through this. And brighter days are coming, and soon we'll be back face to face without masks on. So yeah, everyone just hang in there.
Can't wait. Thank you so much, Darby. I appreciate your time and your wisdom.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for coming.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Subscribe to our channel so you'll never miss an upload, or join us live every Thursday for author interviews, book clubs, writing advice, and more on Facebook at Owl Hollow Press, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. See you Thursday.